Occasionally, the truth seems so bizarre and capricious that it resembles the imaginings of a delirious mind. Nonetheless, it's important not to ignore the reality that life is full of surprises. Every seemingly irrational deed has a genuine foundation behind it. Hi, my name is Jeremy, and this is the True Crime Chronicles channel. Subscribe for the channel and we'll move on to history. On March 23, 2015, at about 2 p.m., the Vallejo Police Department in California received a distress call from a man whose voice was noticeably slurred, suggesting he was either intoxicated or under the effect of narcotics. He claimed his girlfriend was missing, specifically that she had been abducted. Yet, his account seemed illogical. Upon the police's arrival at his residence, they found him to be completely disoriented, with a potent chemical smell pervading the home. Inquiring about his girlfriend's whereabouts, the man spun a fantastical tale. According to him, entities resembling extraterrestrials had invaded his home, clad in aquatic gear and wielding laser weapons. Despite the bizarre nature of his narrative, the police were compelled to pay heed and initiate an inquiry since his girlfriend was indeed missing. However, the investigation revealed a narrative even more fanciful and bizarre than the one described to the emergency operator. In the late hours of March 22, 2015, 29-year-old Denise Huskins noticed the buzzing of her phone. She grabbed her mobile and, upon reading a message from her former boyfriend Aaron Quinn, felt a stir of apprehension. They had ended their relationship, yet now Aaron was requesting her presence for a calm discussion. It was a Sunday, and Denise was by herself in her modest Vallejo apartment, located in the San Francisco Bay Area of California. She had no intentions of leaving her home that night. She preferred to spend the evening in solitude. Additionally, she was reluctant to engage with Aaron following his previous actions. Denise replied to her ex, stating it was too late, and she would rather delay their chat to a later date. However, following another message from him, there she was, seated on her sofa, staring at her phone, contemplating her next move. Denise encountered Aaron the summer before, after relocating to Vallejo from Boston, Massachusetts. Holding a doctorate in physical therapy, she aimed to join Kaiser Hospital, renowned for its advanced programs for individuals with head and spinal injuries. It was there Denise crossed paths with Aaron, a tall, athletic man with dark hair and striking eyes. The two young individuals quickly warmed up to each other and began engaging in conversations. Initially, these discussions delved into their pasts. Aaron had previously been engaged, but his relationship ended when he discovered his fiancée's infidelity. Denise initially played the role of a sympathetic ear, listening to his experiences. However, she found herself drawn to him. Their rapport was undeniable, and gradually, their friendship blossomed into a romantic connection. By the autumn of 2014, Denise and Aaron were officially an item, but by March 2015, Denise stumbled upon messages Aaron was sending to his ex-fiancée, begging her to return. Understandably upset, Denise cut off all contact. Despite knowing they shared many interests and had contemplated marriage, this realization didn't ease her heartache. She felt deeply betrayed, her love for Aaron turning into pain. And now, Aaron was flooding her phone with texts, seeking a meeting to discuss their situation. He was relentless, refusing to accept her rejections. Despite Denise's efforts to resist, his persistence left her conflicted, her heart still entangled with him amidst the turmoil. Swayed by persistent coaxing, Denise felt valued and ultimately acquiesced. Rising from her sofa, she prepared herself and proceeded to her vehicle. Departing her residence at approximately 5:30 p.m. and stopping to pick up a pizza en route, Denise reached Aaron's two-story dwelling on Kirkland Avenue's 500 block. She retrieved the pizza from the passenger side, took her purse, and approached the entrance. The following day, a workday for both at the hospital, saw Quinn reporting sick under the pretense of illness around 7 a.m., whereas Denise texted her supervisor, citing a sudden family crisis necessitating her absence for the entire week. This was uncharacteristic for her, having never missed work previously. Her supervisor, aware of her application for a distinguished scholarship requiring document submission by week's end, reminded her, yet received no reply. He speculated that a grave family issue must have arisen, given Denise's lack of response. That Monday, with both Quinn and Huskins absent from their jobs, the Vallejo Police Department was alerted by a call from 30-year-old Aaron, whose narrative was muddled and seemed implausible. Officers at the scene detected a strong chemical scent alongside numerous empty beer containers, observing Aaron in a disheveled state. Upon questioning about illegal substance use, Aaron didn't refute, but claimed kidnappers compelled him. The officers, skeptical, commenced their inspection, heading upstairs to the master bedroom, where the chemical odor intensified. The room appeared freshly cleaned, with the floors immaculate except for something on the mattress. Just as they were about to exit, a small red blood spot on the bed caught their attention. Returning downstairs to delve into Aaron's account once more, he began to recount his tale anew, his speech impaired. That evening, close to 3 a.m. at Quinn's residence, where he and his girlfriend Denise were staying, a group of men clad in black aquatic gear stormed in. They rudely awakened the pair by casting an intense beam of light straight into their eyes, rendering Aaron unable to determine the exact number of assailants. The invaders swiftly restrained the house owner and his partner with nylon cable ties and made them wear swim goggles that were coated with an opaque material, ensuring they could not see anything. Beyond their aquatic attire, the assailants were equipped with guns featuring laser targeting, electroshock weapons, and potent torches. As they entered the dwelling, illumination and laser beams crisscrossed, blinding everyone. Subsequently, Aaron and Denise had to put on headphones that played an unusual, calming tune, soon followed by a synthetic voice reassuring them that they faced no threat, and this was simply a theft. Staying calm would mean no harm would come to them. Heeding the synthetic message, the frightened couple complied fully, remaining silent and motionless. Eventually, the headphones were taken off Aaron, and he was commanded to proceed to a different chamber. There, the perpetrators demanded his banking credentials and financial details. Aaron complied without delay, internally bidding farewell to his finances. Later, Aaron and Dennis were escorted back to the living area, where one assailant checked their blood pressure and then forced them to consume a concoction from a mug, evidently a sedative blended with another substance. Just before succumbing to unconsciousness, Aaron heard the burglars' final directive. They had set up surveillance cameras throughout his home for monitoring purposes. He was explicitly instructed not to contact law enforcement, and as leverage, they would take Denise as a captive, promising to send further directions later. Immediately after the sedative took effect, Aaron lost consciousness and became oblivious to his surroundings. As he came to, he realized Denise was gone. Struggling to free himself, he eventually managed to untie his hands and grabbed the phone to dial emergency services. The responding officers shared a look, silently considering a theory. Perhaps Aaron had been involved in Denise's disappearance, possibly even her demise, had concealed her body, and then meticulously cleaned the residence to eliminate any traces. The overpowering odor of bleach and other cleaning products seemed to support this suspicion. Under the weight of his actions, he likely turned to alcohol, evidenced by the line of empty bottles and his incoherent speech. In a bid for innocence, he might have delayed calling for help, fabricating an elaborate tale about unusual abductors in water gear to cover his tracks. Dismissing his story as a diversion, the police instructed him to prepare for a visit to the station. After a grueling 17-hour interrogation, they were unable to extract any solid evidence from Aaron. Despite his assertions, Denise remained missing. The Vallejo police quickly launched an extensive search operation involving K-9 units, divers, and numerous volunteers. Upon interviewing Denise's roommate, they learned of the couple's recent separation, hinting at a possible motive. Nevertheless, before pointing fingers at Aaron, it was crucial to exhaust the kidnap hypothesis. They meticulously examined every aspect of his account, seeking any clue about the alleged captors' identities, appearance, and statements. Yet, the more they delved into Aaron's narrative, the more implausible it seemed. According to Aaron, he had surrendered his banking credentials to the perpetrators, yet an investigation showed that his funds remained untouched. Intriguingly, just 2 hours before alerting the authorities, Aaron tried to extract a considerable amount of money from his credit account, purportedly for purchasing a boat. Confronted by detectives, Quinn claimed that the abductors had demanded a ransom of $8,500. Yet he was unable to justify this to the bank, hence the fabricated boat purchase story. The notion that felons would jeopardize their liberty for such a modest sum led to doubts about the authenticity of Aaron's account. Aaron also refuted any allegations of tampering with his residence and was perplexed by the peculiar odor pervading the space. Furthermore, during his questioning, a detective observed Aaron's enlarged pupils, hinting at possible drug use or a mental health issue, such as schizophrenia, which could account for his bizarre account of extraterrestrial-like abductors, perhaps spurred by hallucinations. Faced with the case's intricacies, the Vallejo police sought the FBI's expertise. One of the first actions by the arriving agents was to administer a polygraph test to Aaron, which he notably failed. Recognizing the skepticism towards his story, he promptly retained legal representation, eager to safeguard his interests. With his legal team's approval, Quinn granted law enforcement unrestricted access to his dwelling, electronic devices, attire, and even provided his blood and fingerprints. The following day saw over 100 search units combing through Vallejo. A police sonar identified an object in the bay resembling a human body, yet divers were unable to locate it. By then, Aaron, having secured legal counsel, was no longer in custody. The search for Denise Huskins intensified, with her image disseminated across media outlets and displayed throughout the city. Despite these efforts, the detectives and FBI agents dedicated to the investigation encountered significant hurdles in advancing their probe. On the afternoon of March 24th, a journalist at the San Francisco Chronicle was startled by a peculiar email. The sender claimed to be the abductors who had invaded Quinn's residence, donned in aquatic attire. The message reassured that Denise was safe, substantiated by an attached audio clip of her narrating recent news articles. This evidence momentarily alleviated fears, confirming her well-being at least up to that morning. Yet, the transmission raised eyebrows for a couple of reasons. Firstly, Denise's tone was eerily composed, akin to a broadcaster delivering the news without a trace of duress. Secondly, and more incriminatingly, the email originated from an account registered to Aaron. This revelation led authorities to surmise a collusion between Quinn and Huskins in staging the abduction. Their suspicion deepened when Aaron presented his cell phone, which had logged calls from the so-called kidnappers, albeit from an untraceable burner phone, rendering the caller's identity anonymous. Determined, the police tracked the purchase location of the disposable phone to a store in proximity to Quinn's home. Surveillance footage from the establishment unambiguously captured an individual matching Aaron's description: tall, athletic, with dark hair, making the purchase, further entangling him in the mystery of the orchestrated kidnapping. Merely 2 days after her mysterious disappearance, on March 25th, Denise Huskins reappeared at her mother's residence in Huntington Beach, California, situated about 400 miles away from Vallejo, the scene of her alleged abduction. Finding her mother absent, Denise turned to a neighbor to reach out to her father. Her recounting of events took an even more bizarre turn than Aaron's narrative. Denise claimed she was indeed abducted and held by a quartet of men, confined to a diminutive space. According to her, these individuals disclosed that their actions were the fulfillment of a client's directive. Despite the circumstances, she was reportedly treated with a degree of care, provided with food, water, and even permitted to maintain personal hygiene. Denise initially engaged openly with the police, but upon perceiving a sense of skepticism from the officers, she withdrew and promptly sought legal representation. The investigators were left bemused, perceiving the entire narrative as an elaborate and finely orchestrated sham. They speculated that Aaron and Denise might have concocted this elaborate abduction scenario either as a bid for notoriety, a cry for attention, or perhaps as an escape from ennui. The detectives struggled to comprehend why these two, hailing from affluent backgrounds, with notable achievements and bright futures ahead of them, would feel compelled to fabricate such an elaborate ruse. The Vallejo police convened a news briefing to assure the community that there was no cause for alarm regarding assaults in the vicinity. They had not conclusively identified the abductor, nor could they confirm the existence of one, yet they assured residents they were safe. The probe extended over several weeks with little to no headway. The press kept a keen interest in the matter, and comparisons were eventually made to the film Gone Girl, in which the protagonist orchestrates her own abduction. The authorities expressed frustration that Quinn and Huskins had misdirected attention and resources from genuine crime victims, and called for their formal apology to the Vallejo populace. Nonetheless, Denise and Aaron stood firm in their narrative, maintaining their honesty. Consequently, the police decided against any further measures until a notable development unfolded in the investigation 2.5 months later. On the early hours of June 5, 2015, a Dublin police officer in the Alameda County region of Northern California uncovered a vital piece of evidence in the mystery of Denise Huskins' vanishing. That morning, the police were alerted to a burglary at a residence. The incident report detailed how an intruder entered a home under the cover of darkness, attempting to restrain a couple. The man managed to fend off the assailant while his wife secured herself in the bathroom to call emergency services. The burglar escaped but mistakenly left behind his smartphone in the corridor. Unlike previous instances, this phone was traceable to an individual via a telecommunications provider. The police tracked the registered address, only to find the property abandoned, its mailbox brimming with uncollected mail. 3 days subsequent, the carelessly discarded smartphone directed law enforcement 200 miles northeast of Vallejo to an isolated cabin near South Lake Tahoe, California. With caution, the officers entered the cabin, encountering a tall, athletic man with dark hair amidst the chaos of leftover food, garbage, and clothes piles. Yet, what initially escaped the officers' notice was the vehicle parked outside. Upon inspection, the car, which was reported stolen, contained various peculiar items: flashlights, a plastic firearm with laser sights affixed, modified swimming goggles, a black diving suit, and headphones. The trunk also held a laptop owned by Aaron Quinn. This discovery led to the apprehension of one of the individuals behind Denise Huskins' abduction, a man bearing a striking resemblance to Aaron Quinn, yet not him. In truth, the couple had never crossed paths with this individual. There was no prior connection between them. The abductor was identified as Matthew Mueller, a 38-year-old attorney educated at Harvard University, an ex-Marine, and until recently, a reputable member of the legal community before being disbarred. Mueller had embarked on a new chapter marked by an array of peculiar criminal acts. The authorities had linked him to the Dublin home invasion, and their inquiry established his involvement in Huskins' abduction from her partner's residence, supported by numerous pieces of evidence. The seemingly outlandish account provided by Aaron and Denise to law enforcement was, in fact, accurate. Their only error was in believing that multiple individuals in diving gear had invaded. In reality, the mastermind was solely Matthew Mueller. Likely influenced by a state of half-sleep and confusion, Aaron and Denise did not discern that the entire episode was executed by a single individual. The intense light shone in their eyes created the illusion of multiple invaders, and the pre-recorded message played through the headphones, in which the assailants claimed to be a professional debt recovery squad, furthered this misconception. Quinn and Huskins were not Mueller's initial targets. He was also implicated in a 2009 Palo Alto home invasion. Nonetheless, a paucity of proof enabled him to elude repercussions for that incident. Mueller, a highly intelligent lawyer with military background, crafted a scheme so elaborate and fantastical that authorities initially suspected the couple of orchestrating a hoax. His actions were meticulously planned, showcasing his intelligence alongside significant mental health challenges. He was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and experienced intense psychosis. Mueller also claimed to suffer from Gulf War syndrome, indicating a detachment from reality. Encountering Aaron and Denise seemingly at random, he developed an intense fixation on them. Employing a drone for surveillance, Mueller obsessively tracked the couple's movements, associations, and activities for 3 weeks, leading up to the abduction. Aaron remembered noticing a bright light in the sky on the eve of the incident, contemplating the presence of a drone, yet unable to conceive it was monitoring his home. His logical mindset didn't alert him to the possibility of a deeply disturbed individual's surveillance. Thus, he dismissed the observation. With sufficient data collected, Mueller executed his plan by invading Quinn's residence at night, adorned in a diving suit. He restrained both Aaron and Denise, blindfolded them with goggles, and played a recorded message through headphones, suggesting the presence of multiple abductors. Isolating them in separate rooms, Mueller then assaulted Denise, exploited her defenselessness, confined her in his car's trunk, and transported her to a secluded cabin in South Lake Tahoe. He detained her there for 2 days before releasing her near her parental home. Additionally, he appropriated Aaron's laptop, later using it to send an email to a San Francisco Chronicle journalist via a specialized software. Upon awakening the following day, Aaron, faced with the harsh reality that Denise's abduction was not a figment of his imagination, initially contacted his bank to request a $8,500 advance for the ransom. In his determination to safeguard his partner, he fabricated a reason, stating the need for the funds was to purchase a boat, a spur-of-the-moment excuse driven by his concern for Denise and his panicked state. Following this, Aaron reached out to Kaiser Hospital, sending a message to Denise's supervisor to inform them of their unavoidable absence from work, a directive given by Mueller as part of his manipulative scheme. The investigation later revealed a disturbing video recorded by Matthew, showcasing him assaulting his blindfolded captive on 2 occasions. In light of these revelations, the Vallejo police issued an apology for initially dismissing the ordeal as a fabricated story. The ordeal led the couple to take legal action against the city of Vallejo, citing their wrongful treatment during the investigation. Their lawsuit concluded with a victorious settlement of $2.5 million, acknowledging the grave misjudgments and errors made in handling their case. Matthew Mueller admitted guilt to the kidnapping charges and was sentenced in 2017 to a 40-year prison term. At the trial, he voiced regret for his deeds and the suffering he inflicted. It emerged that Mueller originally intended to abduct Quinn's ex-fiancée, a relationship that had ended. Following the ordeal, Huskins battled persistent nightmares, endeavoring to heal from the trauma. She hesitated to discuss the kidnapping publicly until Mueller's conviction in 2017. Huskins disclosed that multiple men had detained her, a detail Mueller corroborated by admitting to having accomplices, although he refrained from identifying them. In the aftermath, as Huskins faced skepticism and allegations of fabricating the kidnapping, it was ironically the perpetrator who came to her defense. He dispatched 2 anonymous letters to the media, disjointedly asserting her genuine abduction. Despite the bizarre developments, the narrative concluded on a positive note. Aaron and Denise solidified their bond through marriage, welcomed a child, and co-authored a book titled Victory F, chronicling their harrowing journey. To some, their tale might border on the incredulous, yet it resonates deeply with those acquainted with the chaos wrought by mental instability. This is the end of the story. Like the video and leave your thoughts in the comments. This was Jeremy. See you soon.